All right, so now we're going to pick up with example number 4. It tells us to find the missing angle measurement in each set of complementary angles. And so we know that a complementary angle means that we have 2 or more angles coming together to equal 90 degrees. So if I know one angle is 28, I simply need to do 90 minus 28, and that lets me know that the missing angle is 62 degrees. So the measure of angle EFH, FH equals 62 degrees. Now let's try example 5. This time it tells us that one of the angles equals 43 degrees. So again, because it's a pair of angles that equal 90 degrees, I just need to do 90 minus 43, and I get 47. So that means that the measure of angle JGH equals 47 degrees. Now I want you to try example 6. This time it tells us that one of the angles is 51 degrees. So 90 subtract 51 is going to give us 49 degrees. So that means that the measure of angle MKL is 49 degrees. All right, let's try examples 7 and 8. It tells us angle JKL is complementary to angle GHI. Find the measure of angle GHI. And so sometimes students think that it doesn't necessarily equal 90 because it doesn't have the angles right next to each other and it doesn't have a box in the corner indicating that it's 90. However, it told me that they're complementary. So that means they equal 90 if I put them together. So same thing, I just need to do 90 minus 34, and we see that the measure of angle GHI is 56 degrees. Now example 8 is a little different, but still the same concept. It tells us that the measure of angle A is 2x minus 2, and it tells us that the measure of angle B is x plus 32. So it's going to be like we did with the triangle problems. I just need to combine my like terms, but this time because they're complementary, I'm going to make my equation equal 90. So let's try it. 2x minus 2 plus x plus 32 equals 90. And again, I know that it equals 90 because it tells us that the angles are complementary. Now I just need to combine my like terms. 2x plus x combined to give me 3x. Negative 2 and positive 32, I have to be careful. Those combine to equal 30. And the whole equation is going to equal 90. So now I just need to solve my two-step equation. Subtract 30 from both sides. That means 3x equals 60. Divide by 3, and I get x equals 20. Sorry, I took up a lot of space. So I figured out x equals 20, but it didn't ask me what x equals. It asked me to find the measure of the angles. So now I still need to substitute x back into the expressions to figure out the angles. So 2 times x minus 2. That means I need to do 2 times 20 minus 2. 40 minus 2 lets us know that angle A equals 38 degrees. Angle B is x plus 32. I just figured out that x is 20. So if I do 20 plus 32, I get 52. So angle B is 52 degrees. And to check my work, if I were to add 38 plus 52, I would get 90. So I know I solved the problem correctly. Let's move on to supplementary angles. The way I remember the difference between supplementary and complementary is the S. Like supplementary forms a straight line. And so, of course, a straight line is bigger than just 90 degrees. So 90, 180, I know supplementary is 180. And it's no coincidence that it's a 180 degrees just like a triangle. If I were to take a triangle and rip off the corners, I could put it together to form a straight line. So it does work. A triangle and a supplementary angle both equal 180 degrees. So let's find the measure of the missing angle. It tells me one angle is 110. So 180 minus 110 my missing angle is 70 degrees. So that means angle JGH equals 70 degrees. Now I want you to pause the video and try question 10. This time it tells us that one of the angles is 55 degrees. So that means to find the missing angle, I need to do 180, subtract 55, and when I do that, I get 135. That means that angle DBC equals 135 degrees. All right, so this time it tells me to solve for the variable. In order to solve for the in order to solve for the variable, I have to know the relationship that exists between the two angles. And so the given angle, 85 degrees, as well as 6x plus 5, when I put them together, form a straight line. So that means they're supplementary, and if I put it together, it should equal 180. So let's set up an equation. 6x plus 5 plus 85, when I combine, should equal 180. So let's combine our like terms. 5 plus 85 is going to give us 90. 6x plus 90 equals 180. Now I'm just left with a two-step equation. Subtract 90, 6x equals 90, and now I need to divide both sides by 6. When I divide by 6, I get x equals 15. And I could plug it back in and solve for the angle, but it just told me to solve for the angle, so really not necessary. Same thing with example 12. Again, the two given angles I have to be able to recognize are supplementary. So because it's supplementary, I'm going to combine my like terms and make it equal 180. 3x plus 16 plus 110 equals 180. Combine my like terms. 16 and 110 combine to equal 126. Now, I just need to subtract 126 from both sides to solve my two-step equation. When I subtract, I get 54, and now my last thing I need to do is divide by 3. And when I do so, I get x equals 18. Now let's take a look at example 13. It says, using the figure to the right, identify a pair of adjacent angles. There are a lot of different possibilities for this question, a lot of different possible answers. So I want you to pause the video and try to identify two pair. Remember, the definition of adjacent angles is that they share a side and they share a vertex. So you could have named AOE, and another angle that's next to it is AOD. Notice I wrote AO twice. That's not a coincidence. Another pair, I could have identified COB and BOD. And I could keep going, but there's so many answers. If you need me to check your work, just let me know. All right, now let's try example 14. This time it asked me to identify a pair of vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles are formed by intersecting lines. So that's two pair of straight lines. And they are directly across from each other and they share a vertex. So these two angles are vertical. I have angle COB and angle AOD. I believe that is your only pair of vertical lines in this problem. Let's take a look at it. Actually incorrect. I have to draw here and here. And then I would have two more vertical angles. You could have also identified this angle here and this angle here. Angle AOC as well as angle DOB. Those two also form vertical angles. All right, last two examples. This time I have two pair of vertical angles, and I know that because I have intersecting lines and the angles are directly across from each other, so that means they're congruent. So make my two-step equation. Now going to equal 90, now going to equal 180. They're going to equal each other. 2x plus 6 equals 96. Solve my two-step equation. 2x equals 90. Divide by 2. X equals 45. So the angles are vertical. X equals 45. Same thing, I have another pair of vertical angles. So lets me know that the angles are congruent. Intersecting lines that are directly across from each other. Having some technology issues. And because they're vertical angles, again, that makes them congruent. So let's solve. 11y minus 36 is going to be equal to 63. Now I just need to solve my two-step equation. Add 36 to both sides. 11y equals 99. Once I divide by 11, y is equal to 9. So in this lesson, we learned about supplementary, complementary, and vertical angles, and then we learned how to use those angle relationships to solve for missing angles as well as solving for a variable.